welcome to my final summative report. I'm Clara Ramirez, and we'll just get right into it. So, first off, I'm going to introduce my 2D, and her name is Isabella. She is a first grade girl, and some of her traits, she's very nice, and she's very loving little girl. She has a great desire to learn, and I think that's because of kind of like her background. She comes with like her mother, a single mother household, and her grandparents are like, she's always with her grandparents as well, so I think her mother is hardworking, and then they push her to want to learn, and it seems like it very much portrays in her and our learning in the tutoring. And things she likes, she really likes math. Is her absolutely favorite subject. She also really likes SpongeBob, and she likes like these PBS Kids games that they have and that they use to do reading activities sometimes with, and also drawing. She absolutely loves to draw. Another so sorry. Her strengths, she is very strong in like that desire to learn. She's very ready to learn almost every single lesson, and so it was very easy for her to actually like learn more and show that like growth that she's had through the lessons. And she's also very persistent in her learning. Like, she really wants to do well. She loves A pluses. She also has a lot of like sight words. She really likes sight words, and then so a strength of hers is she knew a lot of sight words like from the get-go. And also phonemic awareness. She also knew a lot of that as well. Weaknesses, even though she knows her phonemic awareness, she does not do well with spelling. She oftentimes doesn't know as much of the blending at the beginning, and so it was hard for her to get her spelling correct. And she also frequently confused the B and the D, and then the PQ G as well. And so we tested these objectives in the pre-assessment. It was her phonemic awareness, her concepts about print, her letter skills, her sight words, and word skills. And then these will be how they're represented now in these like acronyms. So in the pre-assessment results, in her phonemic awareness, she did very well, actually. She mastered every single one. But you can see here, this one she had the hardest with PA3, which is specific to breaking down a word presented orally and say each sound separately. So if I give her the word cat, her being able to go k, at. She was able to do it, but it was harder than the rest of them. And then concepts about print, she almost got all of them right, but she had a hard time with the title. Not the title, but finding getting information about the story from the title. That's where she had trouble with. She usually just got the information from the picture, even though I told her to look at the title, she just still looked at the picture. And her letter skills, so she was able to identify letter sounds and then write letter sounds for specific sounds. This one, although she got them all right, she did have a lot of trouble with it. So although technically they were correct, I think she took too long for them to be exactly like 100%. But she did identify the letter names super quickly. She got through it maybe like 10 seconds, very fast. And then her her sight words, she was able to recall every single one in the set 1, and then in set 2, she could only get to set 2 because she missed more than 3 or 6. And so right here, you can see she had trouble in the second set. Her word skills, reading words using blending, she got the first set correct, and then the other 2 she had a lot of trouble with. So then we had to move on to word skills, set 1 of the second half, which is with spelling, and there she had a lot of trouble as well. So with that, I moved from plan 1, because she did pass for plan 1, into plan 2. And so for plan 2, it focuses on phonemic awareness, letter skills, word reading, spelling, and sight words. And so for phonemic awareness, I decided to focus on the phonemic awareness 3, which is the one that she had trouble with, breaking down the sounds. And then in letter skills, focusing on letter skills 2, which was the writing portion, which she also had trouble with. And then the other 3 are already those you do not have a choice. Those have like specific objectives already picked out. So for phonemic awareness, we did a tap it out game. So like with the example right here with the bug, so she did b tap, tap, g, or g tab, my bad. And so with that one, she liked the the interactive portion of the activity, but it didn't seem enough for her to like be fully engaged in it. And that since she had so much trouble with like the writing, or enough trouble for it to like affect the rest of her like spelling and such and reading, we did writing with magic pencil, which is basically just your index finger and like tracing the letters, and that seemed to really help her a lot. We did reading words with finger detective, which is basically just your index finger, or like covering up the words and doing it one by one, because she often saw the whole entire sentence and seemed like that like threw her off, and so focusing on one at a time to help her out. And then for spelling, we did drawing lines for sounds, and that one it was just like with the word like he. So, line, line. And then there, she did like it, but I saw that she started counting them a lot. And so there's another activity that I chose instead of that one in the next area to help her out more. And then sight words, I just did reading sight words because she loves sight words and just liked to read them. She'd always be like, wait, where are the sight words? Where are the sight words? And it was great. So she did well with the first 2 and the last one, but I changed it at the end. So after this, I reassessed her, and there she did technically pass to move on to plan 3, but it was more of her guessing to be able to pass and not really her own skills, because while I did this, frequently she would be like, oh, I've seen this in class, I remember learning about this, and then she would apply that to there. So it was a lot of like her actually realizing like her in class and like here in tutoring reading, putting it together. And so I decided to keep going with plan 2. And so here we still focused on the same phonemic awareness and letter skills, and then these were still the same. We just changed some of the activities. So now for phonemic awareness, we moved it to playing break it down, which is basically the same idea as the other one, but like you put them in boxes. So I would give her, like for wash, 3 little boxes, and she would have to put the w, sh in each of the boxes, showing that there's like 3 different sounds in it. We also did writing with magic pencils still, because that one worked for her. And then counting sounds was the one that really helped her a lot. It was basically just with the yes, I would give her the word, and I would give her like an equation, because she really liked math. So I would give her like 1 + 1 + 1 equals. And so she would do the equation to get 3. And then I would give her the word yes, so then she would read it. And then since she saw the 3, she understood that meant there was that many like sounds in it. So then she would go, yeah. 3, yes. And so that's how she really liked it, because she was she just really loves math, and so that really made her engaged with that lesson. And then we did reading words using blending. That in this activity, she very much so started to realize more and more of those of those patterns in words, and so she learned a lot out of this activity as well. And then we still did the same reading sight words off of cards. She really liked that as well. And so after these 4 lessons, we reassessed again, and there was a great amount of growth. And so we moved on to plan 4 for her. And so Plan 4 focuses on letter skills, word reading, spelling, story preparation, and new story. So basically, letter skills we still focused on 2 because although reading was good, her reading the words was good, spelling was still hard for her. And then with the B and the D, not as much so, but she still had a little bit of trouble. Word reading, we use word skill 1. Bless you, thank you. Story preparation, we focused as well on word skills 1 because she still needed that help with word skills. She was getting better. She was finally realizing, but she still needed more of that repetition to help her out a little more. And we did Fluency 1 for her new story, and that we started taking turns reading every other page in the story, and she really liked that because she liked it when I got involved and not just her doing the activities. And so that's what we did with that. And then with that, we have the summative results. And so here we can see the blue is the pre-assessment, orange is the reassessment, and then gray is the last reassessment that we did. So at the beginning, we can see she got through every single of the objectives in part 1 of the assessment. With the phonological awareness, she did really good in. You can see PA, she did the worst of those 3. And then right here, you can see that was the one that she missed, and she got 100 on the rest. After I reassessed her again, she got 100% in all the phonemic awareness areas, still could not get the title, but she eventually got it once I reassessed her a 3rd time. And so then with the second part of the assessment was focused on sight words. So here, excuse me, we could see the pre-assessment, she got 100, for the pre-assessment in the set 1, she got 100% right off the bat. And then she had trouble in the set 2, and so I reassessed her after the 4 lessons. I reassessed her. She got better on set 2, and then she got better again. Only missed 1 in the last reassessment of her sight word skills, and then she got so well that we could move on to set 3. She got enough to be able to move to set 4, but then she missed too many on set 4. And so that's where she stopped in her sight words. And the second, in part 2, we also assesses her word skills. And so in the pre-assessment, we got set 1 completely done, and then set 2 and 3 of these, which was just reading some words with blending. She did not do very well on set 2 and 3. And so we couldn't move on to the second half of the word skills yet, which was spelling, since she did not pass 2 or 3. And then so in the second half, in the first reassessment, we got through set 2 at 100%. We got through set 3 and 4. We got to set 3 enough to move on to set 4, but she still had that trouble on set 4. And so she got far enough that we could get to the spelling portion, but she did not do very good at the spelling because she had a lot of trouble with spelling because she still hadn't completely understood all the blending that was going on. So then after I did the second reassessment, we did word skills, and this is where she had a lot of growth. She was able to not only get 3, 4, but she also got 6 of those individual sets at 100% completion. And then 5 and 7, she only got 1 of the words wrong. And then at set 8, that's where she had more trouble. And then with spelling, she finally got set 1 correct, and then set 2, she had more trouble again because she still had that trouble with spelling. Overall, with Success for All, it's a very evidence-based curriculum. And so what we're doing has a lot of evidence-based behind it. And so with Science of Reading, they really like you to use those evidence-based strategies in your learning. And so with this, we can look at the Scarborough's reading rope. And with that, they have like the two strands together of language comprehension and reading recollection, shows your reading skill level. And so with that, in word recognition, that's kind of what we really focused on during tutoring, which was her phonological awareness, her decoding, and sight recognition skills. And so we really worked on those more than those in language comprehension, because you can see usually you can't get to these until your word recognition is pretty solid, and then you can weave these into the learning. But not completely yet, because as you can see here, word recognition is based on increasing automacy. And that's what I think part of the next step should be. She's doing great. She's learning a lot, but I think she needs more of that repetition so she can have that autonomy with the sight words, with blending sounds, so she can be able to read with more fluency. And with the professional development and article takeaways, one of the articles I really liked was the one on trauma, because it really showed like what the effects, how it could affect students and how it shows it in the classroom. And part of it would be like through negative classroom behaviors. So like a student might act up, but it's not only because they don't like you or they just aren't focused on the lesson. It could be other things at hand. And so as an educator, you can't just automatically be like yelling at them just because you think it's like towards you. It's not always towards you. And also something else that it talked about was that they have poor self-regulation. That's why it's important to have repetition in a classroom. So making sure you have like a structured classroom with like specific things every day, so that they know they can come every day and like know that this is what they have at this time, because they have a problem with like the regulation and like actually looking at future. That's hard for them. But if they have that structure, that can ease that for them. And then they have trouble forming bonds, so making sure that you as a teacher are making sure that you have that relationship with them, that they are able to trust you and you can actually be a trusting adult in their lives. The second one was on the one on Catholic identity. I really like that one because like even with the trauma, or like with any students, if they have like that negative classroom behavior, or any student that just acts up, we need to remember that they are made in the image of God and they have that intrinsic value. So we can't just be rude to them and such. Even though they are rude to us, they are still have value, and we still need to treat them with respect. And that even though we can't really necessarily say like Catholic things or like Christian things, we can still foster that like virtue of like being a good person, because that's not just something that religious people do. That's what everybody needs to be a good person. And so we can still reflect that, and we can reflect that ourselves as being that role model by living life with joy and hope. And for future implications, I really like this whole tutoring experience. It really helped me with like doing the collecting data and making instructional decisions based off of it, especially with the activities and figuring out what plan I should do. Should I move on? Should I not? Should I wait? Should I move it? Should I make like those changes to the activities? It was a really good experience, and especially because it's all evidence-based, so you know that if you do it with fidelity, you will get good results, which I think I did pretty well, especially with the word skills, and especially with making individualized plans. Like, even you have to do it with fidelity, but every student is different, so making that like change with the math to help her like be more engaged, it was very helpful to me in the future. And that's it. Here's my works cited. Thank you very much.